Hey, how you doing? Um, okay, this video is it's opening a can of worms I don't really want to open, but thing is I'm trying to have like a thing because like summer's about to start, so I'm about ready to do a bunch of fun videos, and I want all the not fun videos to be down towards the bottom. So I'm trying to get these out of the way, but I want to at least say I like to I like to give a taste of all the opinions that I think matter. Like, so this is about transgender people in sports. I don't like that subject. I don't want to talk about that subject. It's horrifying to me. That subject's scary to me because my opinions probably are not going to make me that popular in the transgender community, and I could use some transgender friends. I hope they can still like me, but um, first of all, I would like to point out that I'm 50 years old. Okay, trans women that are 50 years old. There's a whole bunch of us that probably agree with everything I'm about ready to say. A lot of what you see in the argument of transgender people in sports, it's really a generation thing, and nobody's saying that. Nobody's admitting that. Like my generation, we don't have the same sense of entitlement that the young kids do. Okay. Um, so, like for me, I was a single parent for a long time, and I had this. What got me through the whole single parent thing, because I didn't really have much success socially, was this ongoing fantasy that I was training for boxing. I had like a heavy bag hanging in my living I had my whole apartment converted into a gym for training for boxing. I had a bench press, I had a heavy bag and gloves and a chart up on the wall of like double and triple combinations and like I would just that's what I would do for fun was I would make believe I was training to be a boxer. And just because I think it's fun to exercise. I like diets and that. And a part of me really wanted to maybe pursue that on some level. But at this point, I'm so old, and and everything. But so I'm 50 now, and like I started transitioning female when I was like 42, 43, something like that. You know. So I was pretty old when I started transitioning. It's been a while ago now, but I was still pretty old when I started transitioning. And when I transitioned, I gave up the fantasy of boxing. I still like to watch Rocky. I still like boxing. I'm still interested in martial arts, more martial arts and less boxing. I still love Bruce Lee. He's a huge influence on me. I think about his teachings all the time. I carry them in my heart like scripture. Um, Fighting because I used to get bullied. My initial interest in fighting and all this was because I used to, between fourth and sixth grade, I used to get beat up by groups of boys every day. So bullying at one point was a really big part of my life. And how I got out of that was I started pretending that I was training for boxing. I started watching Rocky movies and I drink raw eggs in the morning and that's how I got out of that. I owe like if I met Sylvester Stallone, I'd want to shake his hand and say thank you. You've helped me more than you know. You know, it's a oh man, it's helped me a lot. Make believing I'm training boxing and pretending I'm a boxer is just makes me feel because I'm 6'3", so I'm gigantic. I'm really skinny, but I'm really tall, and for a tall person to over there, over here, over there, to think they're a boxer makes you pretty scary. Scary enough that most people will go find someone else to pick on. You know, and so anyway, so when I transitioned female, I gave up the fantasy. I no longer fantasize about being a boxer. I don't spend any, I never think of it. It never even crosses my mind because I felt like I had to give up that. I can't be both. I can't be a boxer and a trans woman. That's just not how it works in my mind. Like I don't want to hear people arguing about who am I going to fight, you know? Is she going to fight boys or girls, you know? If they say I'm going to fight girls, I don't want to fight girls, you know? And if you say I'm going to fight boys, I want to fight the boys. Yeah. That's who I would want to fight, but that's not fair to me. So, I watch these videos about the I watch these videos about the science of transgender, and they're like, all if you're just they base it on testosterone levels and that. And so I've been on hormones for a long time. There's a big difference. Like the me of today is a lot weaker physically. Like, oh my hell. And like look at my arms. Like you should have seen my arms before. You know, I was buff before. I was like, you know, I was muscular. I was a bodybuilder. You know, and I lost like what was it? I lost a lot. It was like 40 pounds of muscle or something like that. It was a lot. Or was it 20 pounds? I don't know. I lost a ton of weight, and I would measure my body. My hips and my thighs actually got bigger around, and my upper body just shrunk. Like I don't know if you can tell. Like look at that. See, look at that. Look, my triceps wobble. My triceps didn't wobble before. Like, can I even flex my triceps? They don't even flex anymore. It's like, you know, like, it's not a joke. Like, my muscle mass, my muscles. So I've seen the studies, they say, no, you still have a bigger heart, a bigger brain. Therefore, you have more capacity to pump blood into your, you know, I've heard the science and I understand it, you know. But and so like I don't think it's fair for me to compete against men in sports like boxing. That wouldn't really be fair. If I were to fight men in boxing, they would beat me up bad. Like they would break my jaw, and like they might even kill me. It wouldn't be fair. It would not be fair. But because I'm a Taurus and I'm stubborn and I have a good imagination, I would think that I could, and I might hurt some of them on my way down to hell. But you know, like the argument on both sides of it is legitimate. You with lower testosterone levels and lower muscle mass, and the things that happen are a lot. You know, like usually with transgender issues, they compare the trans woman to the cis woman, and they don't compare the trans woman to the cis man. See what I mean? So, so let's say they're like, okay, Angie, we're gonna let you box women. I don't want to box women. No, I refuse. I'm not gonna. I won't fight a woman. If she beats me up, then that's okay. That's fine, you know. But what if I beat her up? What if I win? I don't want to win. I don't want to beat up women. You know, even though the science, even though I'm not what I used to be, I just don't, no, it just doesn't appeal to me. I don't want to have to, I don't want to hear people, she beat it, you know, she went in and dominated the sport. I don't want to be part of that. No. So, really, what my thesis statement for this and to this video is like what I'm saying, as I'm saying, sometimes in life isn't fair. Sometimes you can't have your cake and eat it too. I think that transgender athletes arguing that they should be able to, you know, they're hurting. What we need is we need equal rights. We need to be able to use the bathroom, you know, the women's bathroom. We need to be able to freely shop in the women's section, and you know, like if we go to prison, no, that's not fair. You know, like if I go to prison and you put me with the men, I won't make it. I'll get raped and beat up and murdered, and I won't live. I won't survive. You might as well just kill me. There's no way in hell I would survive something like that. You're wrong if you think I would. That's not true. How would I do with the women? I would do just fine. Like a trans woman, we love women. You know, that's part of being a trans woman. We don't hate women. We don't have, you know, we're not the kind of people to beat up women. We don't hate women. That's not what kind of people we are. You know what I mean? If a trans woman has a history of beating up women, and violence against women, then put them in the women's section in solitary confinement. Some people would say that's too harsh. Nobody deserves solitary confinement. But yeah, if they're beating up women, then yeah, that makes sense. But if you're a trans woman with no history of violence, no history of violence towards women, and like look at my boobs. Seriously? Like, no. That's like a death sentence. And just everything about me. People, they might not believe I'm a woman, but they can tell that something's different, and that difference would look really good to someone that's locked in jail and never gets to have sex with a woman ever. It's just that's not fair. That's not funny. So there's these big issues that matter, and we need to persuade people over to our side of the argument. And fighting for trans women to compete against cis women is just like, come on, why do you have to roll that in with all the other stuff that's all serious and a big deal? That's not a big deal. You can't have everything in life. Life's not always fair. You just don't find something else to do. Don't be a professional athlete then. Give up your fantasy. Move on. It's not fair. Well, life's not fair. I'm sorry. Who cares? I don't give a shit, really. Stop making us look bad. Whatever. What about children? Well, case by case thing. If all the other women you're competing against, all the little girls are like, all, yeah, I think that this trans girl should be on our soccer team. I don't think it's that big of an unfair advantage, and she really wants to belong and fit in. They haven't even gone through puberty yet and stuff like that. A trans girl that hasn't gone through puberty would be the same. It'd be pretty hard to prove that there's something different than a cis girl. A trans girl and a cis girl pre-puberty. There's not. You're not gonna be able to demonstrate any true differences. That makes a little bit more sense. But no, as far as I don't like the subject. Every time it comes up, I'm like, oh man. I mean, there's all kinds of on both sides of it. There's all kinds of stupidity. Like on South Park, is like, yeah, this big wrestler. I identify as a woman. It's like, no, oh my hell. Why would that ever happen? But I see there's a point behind it, even though that wouldn't happen. I get their point. And I think it's a valid point. I don't think trans women should be able to compete professionally with cis women. I think that if you're a trans woman, like, you better go beat up the man. If I want to do boxing, I better start getting up first thing in the morning and drinking raw eggs and jogging. I better start doing push-ups on my knuckles. I better start training hard as hell. Besides that, I'm a trans woman. I'm 50 years old. If I'm going to be beating up 20-year-old men that are boxers, I better start like bench pressing mountains and like picking up cars and walking them across the parking lot sometime in the next 2 years. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to be able to do that. I just know me. I can be pretty tough, but bench pressing mountains and carrying cars across parking lots, I just don't think I can do that.